The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Remember before COVID-19, when we could go to shows or celebrate in person or have family gatherings where the only worry was when someone was going to talk politics? Let's get back to that. Let's get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Sure, we'll have to keep wearing masks for a while, but you know what? This is the start. Go to covid19.nj.gov/vaccine to register for your vaccination. Remember traveling somewhere? Anywhere? Yeah, let's get back to that.
The COVID-19 vaccines were developed and tested within stringent guidelines from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
We had independent scientific reviews from a data safety monitoring board.
Overwhelmingly, it's safe for you.
Hear more from New Jersey doctors about COVID-19 at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/VAXFACTS. It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/VAXFACTS.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
Here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
All right, I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
Welcome back.
Now, we're coming back to the world looking like it used to.
Yeah, or as close as
just a little bit,
or as close as it ever will be again.
You know, things are starting to turn around. I hope it's going smoothly in wherever area you are. I mean, I know that our listeners are all over the place, so some of them are still, neck deep in this pandemic, and I wish the best for you. But, yeah, I mean, we were just talking before the show. I went to a couple stores without a mask on, and it felt good.
Wow. You all right?
Felt good.
No fever, yeah. No cough?
It's amazing, how quickly it goes, though. When the mandate was wear a mask, even after I was fully vaccinated, they were saying, well, the mandate is we want you to still wear a mask. Okay, no problem. And even though I felt like I was protected, I didn't want to be an asshole either. I didn't want to make people around me feel unsafe. But as soon as the call from the CDC said, all right, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear the mask anymore, I took it off immediately. And the places that I went to, I feel like there was a lot of masks. And I don't know, maybe that's all because they, aren't getting vaccinated or they're not fully vaccinated yet or whatever the reasons are. But I have a feeling that a lot of it is still this carryover. I was listening to a podcast earlier and the guy was saying well, I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm still going to wear my mask indoors. Good for you, but what are you proving?
Yeah, right.
I want to show that, if somebody was to confront me and be like, hey, how come you're not wearing a mask? Hey, I'm fully vaccinated and I'm healthy, and, all the science points to me not being able to get it or spread it right now, so there's no reason for me to wear the mask. I mean, that should be a goal, right?
Yeah. I have trusted the doctors and the scientists this far. I have not gotten COVID. I'm going to keep trusting them.
It's worked out for me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my attitude on it. Although do you think this was maybe a little premature by the CDC? My only thing is, we just pretty much set our stance on all this. But is this going to incentivize the people who already thought? Yeah, it's generally the same basket of people who thought this pandemic was bullshit, who thought masks were do you really think this is going to incentivize these people? I can go out in public without... No, people are just going to lie. People are just going to lie.
Sure, but this is part of what's gotten us into this problem, too. this kind of, I don't know how to phrase it right, but like the governments of the world have been kind of hedging the science, right? And saying like, well, we know what the science is saying, and we know also how people behave. So let's shape our policy based on science, but with a knowledge of how people normally are. And I think that's gotten them into a lot of trouble. I think that you just have to present the information and hope that people do the best they can with it. This trying to curb everything with like, there's always, there's going to be a lot of anti-maskers and there's going to be a lot of people who are just flouting it. It's going to happen no matter what. I don't think you can set policy based on that. Not when it comes to something that you want people to believe is firmly rooted in science. So, I mean, I'm with you. Like, did the CDC jump the gun and now we might have more people that aren't vaccinated but are just like, fuck it, now I don't have to even have the argument with people. I can just lie and tell them that I'm vaccinated. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. Absolutely, that's going to happen. But what's the alternative? That you keep lying to the people to varying degrees until you're sure that there's a certain level of compliance. I think that's a really dangerous game to play with the public and still try and have some semblance of trust with them.
I agree with that, but there's just part of me that's like, maybe we could have waited till 65% of the population, maybe don't even go the full 70. At 65, we go, all right, ditch the masks. But then again, there's a part of me that goes, hey, I got mine. You idiots can all just give COVID to each other.
Right. Well, they can give COVID to each other back and forth and mutate it until it's got a new trick that can get through your vaccine. That's the issue.
Yes.
So I don't know.
But it's going to feel so strange. I mean, you've already done it. We've all done the dance. You get halfway in and realize something's wrong. Oh, yeah, I don't have a mask on, and you got to go back to your car. And then you walk. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to feel like an outlaw the first time I'm in like Kroger without my mask. Like, oh, look at me. You could see the bottom of my face.
But it's kind of illustrated how much I think of myself as open-minded, and I don't like labeling people. I don't like having labels put on me, but still we do it every day. It doesn't matter. We label people, right?
It's part of it's part of how we're wired. We don't even mean to do it.
Absolutely. And it's funny how I could go to a store on one day and see people without masks and go anti-masker. Right? And then the CDC puts out a statement, and then the next day I go to a store and I'm like, fellow vaccinated brother, there you go. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like instantly I was like, everybody that's not wearing a mask now in this Walmart, they're with me because I'm vaccinated and they're vaccinated and we're all brothers. But yesterday, before the CDC put out their statement, fuck you, man. You're fucking it up for everyone.
Yeah. You're the reason why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. But honestly, again, I wanted to comply because I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to make people uncomfortable. And it's not that big of a deal, even for people who still want to wear the mask. If you're like, fuck it, I don't know, look, nobody got a cold, nobody got flu. There's mutations out there. Even if you're fully vaccinated and you still, when you go into a store, want to wear a mask, I don't care, man. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm not going to look at anyone weird. And I'm sure there will be times in the future where I'm going to be like, hey, it's cold and flu season. It's going around. I'm going to wear a mask when I go into the store.
That's what I've been reading is they may end up being seasonal.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're going to keep me from getting sick during the winter. I'm cool. I don't know.
But in the meantime, I feel like they're not. I feel like they could be doing more to tie the dropping of the mask to vaccinations. And I'm with you. Maybe that would have been a better plan. Like, even though the science is saying is telling us this, for the greater good of trying to eradicate this disease, having your goal set at a certain percentage of population, and then we can drop the mask as a group. I think that might have been a better play, but again, then you get, your anti-maskers, you're never going to convince them no matter what.
Yeah, their mind's made up. So, fuck it, I guess. Enjoy your COVID, people who aren't going to get vaccines.
Somebody who survived COVID but died of a good old-fashioned heart attack recently was Mr. Paul Mooney.
Oh, Negrodamus.
Yes.
Oh, am I allowed to say that?
Mr. Negrodamus himself, yeah.
Ask a black dude.
Character, what do you... Yeah. What a fucking legend. As of we're recording this on Wednesday, and this just happened this morning. At the age of 79, he passed away of a heart attack, so had a, good long life. That's not bad, especially for a black man in America.
Yeah. 79,
not too shabby.
Well, too, and if he's 80, take off 50 years, he's in his late 20s and in his 30s, in the late 60s, early 70s. That was a fun time for black people.
Yeah. But what a legend, man. What a career. He has these big kind of bookends to it, almost. Coming up with Richard Pryor, and then I don't want to say wrapping up because Chappelle's show is still a while ago, and he was still working after that. But that was kind of the last huge thing that he did.
Yeah, most people our age or younger, that's where they know him from.
They know him from the Chappelle show.
Yeah. The older crowd, they know him from, you said the first bookend of his career.
No. And, it was primarily, he was a guy behind the scenes. He was a joke writer. Right? That was like his main gig. He had I didn't even know that he was in the Buddy Holly story. I'm reading this write-up on him that's highlighting some of his career. And I knew that he'd popped up in movies here and there, but he played Sam Cooke in the Buddy Holly story. Also wrote for In Living Color.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. Said he was in Bamboozled. Yeah,
that's an intense-ass movie. That was the Spike Lee movie that was it was about like a modern minstrel show. Like basically black dudes in blackface.
Oh. Reading his Wikipedia, it says he started as a ringmaster.
A ringmaster?
It says Mooney became a ringmaster with the Gaddy Charles Circus. During his stint as ringmaster, he always found himself writing comedy and telling jokes, which later helped Mooney land his first professional work as a writer for Richard Pryor.
There you go.
Oh, he wrote for Sanford & Son, Good Times. Wow, yeah,
Yeah, we probably are aware of a lot more of his work than we know, than we understood at the time.
That's right. That's right. His most famous Chappelle show line. Why do white people like Wayne Brady? Because Wayne Brady makes Bryant Gumbel look like Malcolm X.
When you said that he was a ringmaster, that makes sense because he's got just a great voice. He's got big booming pipes.
I'm surprised none of that has a radio career or VO work.
Yeah. I have to believe that he just felt more comfortable in general behind the scenes. Because he's done like stand-up before. There's a pretty famous stand-up that I think it was on HBO. He did like a 1-hour special. This was back in, this would have been like, late 90s? When did the Bobbit dude get his dick chopped off? Because I remember that was one of his skits when he was saying like, no black dude's getting his dick chopped off and somebody can't find it. He's like, it's holding up traffic on the 405. It's like a helicopter flying overhead. Do not touch the black dick on the freeway.
I want to say it was like early to mid 90s. Hold on here.
Yeah, it was around that time. And that show, 93. I think it was, that probably was the one. I just remember it being like pretty racy for the time, for 93. And which means that it's damn near unplayable now.
Right. Good thing he died, because he'd be canceled.
Well, it's a lot harder to cancel an old black dude who doesn't give a fuck and is independently wealthy and has got a long career to show for it.
Yeah, well, you not even know. Look at Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart doesn't give a fuck. They tried to cancel him twice. He doesn't give a shit.
It's like, all right, I'll see you at the Apollo next week.
Yeah.
I'll tell my whole audience about how I got canceled.
By the way, I'm still in every movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, he does pop up in everything.
Dude, he's on, TV now. He's got a podcast.
He's got a podcast?
Everyone's got a podcast. My cat probably has a podcast.
I tried listening to...
Your cats probably have a podcast.
I tried listening to Chappelle's new podcast that he's doing with...
Did you pay?
What's that?
Did you pay? Isn't it behind the paywall? Isn't that one of the
no. It was on Apple Podcasts, the first episode. I don't know. Maybe they dropped the first one for free, or maybe it was it was only like 28 minutes long.
It's him and Mos Def and Talib Kweli, right?
It's him and Talib. I don't know if Mos Def appears on it, but he's not listed as one of the co-hosts.
Well, no, because he uses his Muslim name now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I just didn't recognize it then. That's on me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I posted an article about that on our social media, and I think it's eventually going to be you got to pay for it. But I remember thinking like 59 cents a month. I'd pay that for this podcast if it's any good. So
I'm not sure. It's not my thing.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. I mean, I might give it another shot, but it was a highly produced piece, first of all. I don't know where they were pulling all the music from, if they were, if these were just beats that they had made for this or whatever, but it was like, there was a lot of what sounded like original music and, highly edited conversation that, sounded more like an infomercial than a casual spontaneous conversation.
There's a few podcasts I listen to that do that, and it drives me nuts. I know, we edit too, things like that.
I edit out like burps and farts.
Well, that's the thing is and maybe it's the radio person in me, but yeah, there's I hate when I'm listening to a podcast and I can tell how highly edited the conversation is.
Yeah,
let your conversation. Yeah, let it breathe. Let it breathe. People like authentic.
Yeah, this was like they don't do any BS or setup or anything. It just goes right into sounds like Chappelle asking the question about something about inspiring people. How do you inspire? He's like, how do you inspire somebody who is like given up on life? Somebody who's like practically suicidal. How do you inspire them to have faith in life again or something like that? He has some like super, super deep question. And then the others start talking BS about God and praying for people. And I'm like, I don't need an inspirational podcast per se. I just don't need that in my life. I thought it would be, like a conversation, to be a fly on the wall for those guys having a conversation. That's what I wanted to be there for.
That's what I was hoping it was going to be.
And I think that's part of like when podcasts do it really well. They do it through pulling people in through casual conversation. And then when they're kind of sucked into that, then you start hitting them with the deeper shit.
Isn't it pretty much, did you just describe Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yeah, pretty much, right? That he's got that formula down.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
You don't start out with like, okay, people, strap in. We've got a lot to cover today. We're getting straight into it. I mean, unless you're like, some hard-hitting... news type of program that we got to get up to all these subjects and all that. But if you're talking about getting people to like open up to your ideas and be inspired, you got to ease them into it, man. You got to fucking, ease them into the hot tub a little bit, wine and dine them a little bit, get some yucks in there. This is fucking Dave Chappelle. You can't tell us one goddamn joke before you launch into how do you keep a person from committing suicide? My God. Like, okay, I'm not trying to like put you in a box or anything. I understand that Dave Chappelle has layers, but like, you're just not gonna get it. You're not gonna get through to most people that way.
It's part of our new culture, man. There's this. There's no more subtlety for starters. There's no more nuance, and there's no easing it in. It's right now. You know, maybe this is a byproduct of being able to hit a button on our phone and something show up at our house 2 hours later. You know, that's another conversation. But yeah, no, I get it. Bill Burr has a great podcast. Bill Burr's a comedian. Bill Burr's podcast every week is him rambling for an hour about things that interest him. And if you watch his stand-up specials, it's also him working out his act. That was my one disappointment since I've started listening to his podcast is I watch his specials and I'm go, oh, I've already heard that joke. I've already heard that joke. I've already heard that joke. Like, yeah. But it made me realize what he does with his podcast. Half of it's working out. Half of it's working out material. Wow,
that is material, or just keeping limber.
Low column A, low column B.
Yeah. But yeah, you were saying disappointing news about is that what you were about to say?
I just said it's disappointing to hear that Chappelle's podcast isn't good. Well, it's one episode.
It's one episode. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened to the first half of the episode and I was like, I can't listen to any more God shit.
Well, that's the thing too, is maybe he's not a middle-aged white guy, maybe not aimed at you.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's Dave Chappelle. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and you have to also, podcasts take a while to find their footing too. Maybe in a year from now, it'll evolve into something different. Who knows?
That's true. I know this show sounds very different. From day one.
I didn't even want to go back and listen to day one.
Yeah.
I just know it's there and people can listen to it.
So Apple is doing lossless music on their Apple Music service now. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, well, can you? All right, audio nerd. Can you be truly lossless if it's digital?
Well,
I guess we should explain it to the audience first before we go on this big jag about it.
Right. So lossless just means that there's a process of compression and decompression, you know, that allows the compression allows the audio files to be small enough that they can be quickly streamed in near real time, you know, through the internet. That's what allows us to have, you know, streaming audio and video and all that. And the decompression process is basically reconstructing that audio. And with an MP3, you get you get a smaller file by removing a lot of frequencies that aren't really audible. So there's a slight difference in the output, but not big enough that most people really hear it. What Apple is, Apple is saying that they've got a lossless conversion so that when the audio is decoded at the other side, it sounds exactly like what went in. So if you ripped something from a CD at CD quality, even if it was compressed and decompressed with with Apple's lossless audio technology, it's still going to show up on the spectrographic. It's the exact same file. All the frequencies will all still be there. Completely lossless, I don't know. I mean, I think that I would say yes, you can be completely lossless because you have a limit, and that is human hearing, right? I mean, if you were to actually, if we were looking at like breaking it down into information bits and comparing those and making that determination of, you know, did what goes in and what came out, are they exactly the same? No, they probably would never be. You know, there's a process of converting. I mean, just converting from analog to digital, there's loss there. So really what they're talking about is the process. The lossless just means that once it's a digital file, it's not saying that there's nothing lost from the original analog acoustic sound, that we'll never be able to capture everything with that. But the big question is it going to make any difference? Is anyone going to notice?
I mean, it's another way for Apple to suck more money out of people, and I'm sure people are going to pay it. I'm sure there's going to be audiophiles who are going to be like, yeah, man.
From what I understand, this is something that they're adding to their service at no additional cost. This is this is added value to Apple Music.
This is a way to coax some people over from Spotify or YouTube Music. That's what this is.
And I think Spotify found out about this probably because I think it was just a week ago that they announced that they were looking into doing lossless audio. So I think they maybe got leaked some proprietary info from Apple and tried to beat them to the punch on it. But Apple is ready to instate this. The problem, though, is how do you know?
Right.
I mean, I'm somebody who understands this technology, and I've got a number of different playback devices, some of them fairly high end. I've got good recording or mixing monitors here that I'm looking at, and those would really help me know the difference. But there's so many other factors in the line. Like,
what if you're like my wife who listens to most of her music through the speakers in her phone?
Right. It would make zero difference. It would make absolutely no difference. And even then, they're saying that all of the current models of iPhone and iPad already support playback for this, but none of their headphones do.
Of course.
Right?
And there it is.
It's
a way to sell us all new headphones.
AirPod. Well, they are saying that there's apparently the Bluetooth 5.0 has the technology, has the bandwidth to do lossless audio. I think that it's just a question of them pushing an update to these devices, the AirPod Pros and the AirPod Max and all that, to get them up to date for the lossless audio.
The old firmware update?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have my Bose in-ear headphones. I don't know if what I'm getting through those is going to be lossless audio, even if I'm picking the right files or setting the right settings on my phone or whatever it takes. And then when I'm listening to it on the stereo, that goes through the Wi-Fi and over to my my AirPort device, which has an audio output. So that hooks up to my stereo. That's all digital audio, but I don't know if it's staying lossless or if it's getting converted. It's getting converted at some point in that process. I don't know. I mean, the important thing is that whether you can hear it or not. And
once the gremlins went away, I don't care anymore.
Absolutely. And unless you have a stereo system that you've invested probably multiple thousands of dollars in, you're not going to hear any of this difference.
Yes, exactly. Even guys like us. I used to be that guy, but
yeah.
Now that when you download a song from the internet, it doesn't sound like it did in 2006. We all know that sound. Like I said, we described it as gremlins.
Gone are the washy cymbals and the harsh snare drum cracks and the distortion and the phasiness.
Yeah,
I'm
an audiophile. I now don't care.
Yeah. I've got, MP3s of Steely Dan that I can compare to the vinyl that I have in my collection. I'm like, that all sounds great.
Yes, exactly.
All sounds fucking fantastic.
I guess Apple's gilding the lily. Is that what we're getting at here?
It almost seems like it's too little too late, right? It should have been...
You do this in 2010, you're blowing our minds.
Right, but we didn't have the bandwidth for that.
It's true.
But yeah, by now, it's, who could know, who could get...
Has anyone asked Neil Young how he feels about this?
Right.
Is he going to close up shop on Pono now? Actually, Pono's dead, isn't it? It's got to be.
Yeah. No, his new service is going to be you select a song, and then there's a guy in a booth with a vinyl collection, and he literally puts on the record, and then there's a wire that's connected to your headphones, right? That analog signal travels over miles, so you can listen to it in near real time.
Yep, that's right. April 2017, Pono died. Yeah, well, you could see it right in the Wikipedia why it died. It says Pono's stated goal to present songs as they first sound during studio recording sessions using high resolution 24-bit 192 kilohertz audio. Like, yeah, you could do way more than that now. That's why Pono's dead. The technology lapped it.
Yeah.
So,
well, another thing that Apple is supporting is what are they calling it? Like a 3D audio.
Yeah, I've seen a few articles about this. What exactly?
Spatial audio with Dolby Atmos.
The fuck does all this shit mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably using, delaying certain frequencies to more, instead of just when you put the headphones on, something is either left or right, it can actually be more to your left and a little bit in front of you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it going all around? Like, are we going front and back, side to side?
Right. Again, like, if you don't have hardware to support this,
is it all just experiments with panning?
Well, I know that on Stuff You Should Know podcast, they recently did an episode that they recorded with a binaural microphone system that was set up where it's like on a head and your microphones are where the ears would be. And they literally have like these fake ears around the microphones. And they just place it, on a table in front of them, and then they just talk into it. And one of them's on one side and one's on the other. And it's supposed to make it sound like you're in the room with them. That your head is literally going where that microphone is.
Did it sound any different while listening to the speakers in your phone?
No, well, I was listening. No, it did sound different, actually. I put my headphones on, and definitely one of them was on one side and one was on the other. And also it sounded, you could just pan it. You could just pan it, yes. Yeah. Right, you could just have that effect.
Yeah, I could just put one to the left, also, one to the right.
And when and most people that listen to podcasts in mono anyway, so it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
But it also sounded like they were much farther away from the microphone. So the whole podcast sounded like this, and their voices were echoing off of the walls around them.
Fuck that.
And I was like...
That's not how amplified sound is supposed to work.
Right. Like, that's kind of a failed experiment. So, I don't know. But I think this is going to be another thing that's going to be really big ultimately for video games, and everyone else is going to ignore it. Surround sound.
I can see that, yeah.
When they started pushing surround sound, remember, it wasn't just to make a surround sound home theater. You were going to get the fucking reissue of Dark Side of the Moon mixed for surround sound, and you were going to hear that fucking guitar solo whip around the room, and everyone was like, yeah, but we just like the stereo mix better. It just sounds better, right?
Right. No, you're right with the video games, though. I remember playing Call of Duty on a 5.1 and hearing like shit behind me and shit to the side, and
that makes a big difference.
Yeah,
because that was my major problem. Until I had an actual surround system, I couldn't play those games correctly because I couldn't situate myself. I had no idea where I was being attacked from. So I think that's ultimately what it's going to be for. So that anyone with a regular set of headphones can have that kind of 3D audio experience. But for music, yeah, it's going to mean nothing. We're going to continue to mix and listen to our music in stereo.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Menthol is not just a flavor. It's a manipulative way for big tobacco to target, attract, and addict Black Americans. Tobacco companies aggressively market menthol products using elements of Black culture, putting more products on shelves in Black communities, and making them cheaper. And it's not just an injustice. It's killing us. Smoking-related illnesses are the #1 cause of death in the African American community. Help us fight this injustice at notjustmenthol.org.
It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. That's nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. VAXFACTS.
State Farm, habla María.
Hola María, tengo una buena y una mala noticia.
La buena primero.
Descubrí el food truck más delicioso de la ciudad.
¿Y cómo lo encontraste?
Esa es la mala noticia. Le choqué por detrás en un parking.
No te preocupes. State Farm está aquí para ayudar.
Gracias, María. Disculpe, Chef, ¿tiene más salsita por ahí?
Llama hoy a Cándida Seymour, tu agente de State Farm en Union City.
Remember before COVID-19, when we could go to shows or celebrate in person or have family gatherings where the only worry was when someone was going to talk politics? Let's get back to that. Let's get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Sure, we'll have to keep wearing masks for a while, but you know what? This is the start. Go to covid19.nj.gov/vaccine to register for your vaccination. Remember traveling somewhere? Anywhere? Yeah, let's get back to that.
On the next Entertainment Tonight, The Weeknd, Pink, Alicia Keys, backstage at the Billboard Music Awards.
It's all about me and the microphone.
Plus, what John Krasinski is only telling E.T. about Emily Blunt and his Quiet Place sequel.
There are people out there.
And we revealed the Daytime Emmy's first 2 nominees.
The nominees for lead actress in a drama series are...
Next E.T. tonight at 7:30 on CBS 2.
This Friday, critics are calling A Quiet Place Part 2 phenomenal. This is the experience theaters were made for. A Quiet Place, rated PG-13, this Friday.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
Hey, you remember when we used to do the You're Not Helping award?
Oh, yeah. We got a new entry this week?
I bring it back for this guy. A friend of mine has found themselves afoul of the law, and their lawyer has recommended they go, be proactive and start attending, a lot of the classes the judge will send you to.
Okay.
So they go there on Saturday.
What kind of classes are we talking about, or do you not want to get into specifics?
Judging, I'm thinking about it. I didn't really ask but judging by these stories I was told, it's a substance abuse class.
Okay, yeah, I've had to attend those.
Yeah, but for everything, alcohol, meth.
I've never had a problem really, but I definitely ran into some trouble with the law, and they were like, made me take it. I'm like, really? For smoking some pot? Okay, dude.
Yeah.
Put me in the room with the junkies. Let's see what happens.
No, right? Especially what my friend was there for, but it's like, whatever. This or jail? Cool, we'll do this.
Yeah.
So, sat behind a gentleman who had on a hoodie with a big pot leaf on it.
Of course.
I believe was advertising for a dispensary, also smelling of weed. So, and then I guess the whole time before lunch, struggling to stay awake. And then goes out for lunch. Guess what he does on lunch? You get one guess.
He eats a Subway sandwich, or probably like a cold cut combo. No, he smokes a huge joint.
Yeah, I was saying, yeah. Gets high on lunch, comes back in, reeking of weed, and I guess everyone in the class is telling him, dude, you smell like weed. You smell like weed. And guys, whatever. So back to the class starts. The gentleman was having problems staying awake before. Apparently just falls asleep. Just falls straight asleep. And then the teacher, I guess, goes up, stands in front of him. Just, class, can we all... what was the quote? I'm trying to get the exact phrasing. Could you tell me why we shouldn't smoke pot on lunch? Says it loud. Guy doesn't wake up, And I guess he just keeps doing it and doing it. So finally he says it loud enough till the guy wakes up and he's like, what? He's like, am I supposed to answer something? What was the question? and the guy gets tossed out of the class and then is asking, well, am I still going to get credit? And the teacher's like, no, You went out and got high during lunch, missing the point.
I mean, I understand that, like, yes, this class that you're in is bullshit, but at a certain point, this was presented as an alternative to prison, I'm sure.
Yeah, or county or whatever.
That's why you're here. To avoid being locked up.
My number one question is, like, really, we couldn't put it on hold for 8 hours? Like, you know, and even if you want to come to the class high, burn one at home. Don't come into class smelling like weed. And then, you can't... If it starts at 9, you can't hold out till 5. Yeah, or get a goddamn
Get some fucking edibles.
Yeah. Like, come on, dude. The fuck is your deal?
Well, this is clearly a self-destructive person.
Or an idiot. So, yeah, I thought you'd find that entertaining. Definitely, as soon as I heard that, like, I'm sharing this on my podcast. I will change the name to protect the innocent here, but this is quite the story.
When I worked at Guitar Center, we had a new hire that went out and got high on his first day. Went out to his car. Like, dude, we're pretty lax around here, but nobody's that lax. Where are you going to get a job that you can, like, blaze? The best part is that he parked as close as he could to the store. No. He was, like, in clear view in that prime parking spot in front of the door. Like, he parked where he wasn't even supposed to as an employee. You know, you're supposed to park to the end of the lot and leave those prime spots for your customers. So not only did he park right there where he wasn't supposed to, like, literally, 4 hours into his first shift, he goes out for a smoke and fucking clam bakes in his car. And where everyone's like, dude, you just see look what the new guy's doing. Like, he's smoking a joint in his car right now. See, the store manager called him Crab Rangoon for some reason. I can't remember if it was because of his last name.
I was going to say, he's now the CEO? No.
Yeah.
Oh, stoners. Knock it off.
Well, speaking of weed, we've got some news, some updates on cannabis for this week. One of the biggest stories is that the DEA, who has had a lockdown since forever on being the only organization that can oversee the growing of cannabis for testing purposes. And that contract has been given to the University of Mississippi for the last 50 years or more. And we've all seen, we've reported on this before, the extremely poor quality of the shit that they're using for testing.
Yeah, I mean, come on, at least shouldn't at least be USC, Stanford, something in California.
Yeah, exactly. But people who have been part of these tests have described, smoking numerous joints and not being able to get high, getting a headache before they actually felt any of the effects of any THC.
You brought up the point a few years ago, which you turned me around on it. When we were younger, it was always about the crazy government weed, man. Right. And then I think it even probably involved something with this story, and it's like, what does the government do well? You think the government's going to do weed well? No. This makes more sense that, it's swag that gives you a headache rather than, this green glowing bud that fucking you get high just rolling it.
So anyway, all that to say that what the DEA is doing now is opening up that the availability for other, any number of companies that can grow weed that represents what's on the market currently.
So basically, companies that know what they're doing can now get in on the game.
They will soon be awarding licenses. This is according to the MJ Biz Daily, that they're calling a memorandum of agreement. And the move will allow greater research into marijuana and its potential medicinal properties.
Well, all right. It's a step in the right direction.
So one of them, founder of, Dr. Stephen Groff, founder of Groff North America in Red Lion, Pennsylvania. His company was one of 3 entities that received an MOA from the DEA. So one in Pennsylvania, another in Scottsdale, Arizona, and one in, there you go, California. Biopharmaceutical Research in California.
There you go.
Those are the first 3 recipients of MOAs, or basically licenses to grow cannabis for the purpose of official government testing. So hopefully that'll put the government on a path of doing some actual proper testing and then shutting the fuck up for once and for all. Right?
Right.
So they can stop hiding behind this, well, we just don't have enough testing for it. Yeah, because your testing is bunk. Your testing doesn't reflect the real world at all.
Your testing doesn't reflect weed you can actually get. I can't. When's the last time you had bad weed? I can't.
It's impossible to get. You'd have to go to another country at this point.
Yes.
You'd have to go to Mexico to get shit, and probably even then it's hard.
I mean, the last time I said, and I can't even think of an instance, it had to be maybe before I had my card, and even then, once Michigan went medical, it was hard to get bad weed once that happened.
Yeah. There's a Senate bill to allow CBD-infused foods, drinks, and dietary supplements, which is something that we already have all over the place.
They're already here.
Yeah. So I think what it's going to do is put it officially under the purview of the FDA and set some guidelines for this.
Makes sense.
So I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of CBD's products disappear. You know, if they actually have to, I don't know.
Well, it's like what we went through.
Do what they're saying on the label.
Yeah. Well, it's probably like going to be like the same kind of deal we went through here in Michigan. Once they had to start testing everything.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden, there's some brands that did not come back once that went into play. At least what I saw at dispensaries.
So this is the Hemp Access and Consumer Safety Act. It would exempt hemp-delivered cannabidiol, or any substance containing any other ingredient derived from hemp from certain restrictions that have blocked the emergence of legal consumable hemp products. Or another law that would be completely unnecessary if you would just legalize cannabis.
Right, but I mean,
because no one's got a problem with hemp. I guess it's another step. I mean,
I really wonder if we're going to see it under President Grandpa, because he's still from that drugs are bad generation. I could see it more if Harris becomes a president. I could see it more happening under her, even though she didn't like weed. But she's not from that drugs are bad generation. She was just a prosecutor who was trying to put people away.
She was also doing her job as it was laid out at the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, certainly there have been plenty of prosecutors who have stepped up and said, hey, we're not prosecuting for, these certain crimes that I think are unjust. They do have some leeway in how and what types of crimes they want to go after. But in general, I mean, what do you expect a person to do? Especially if you're an elected official, you can't just be like, well, I don't want to follow these laws anymore.
It's supposed to be will of the people.
Yeah.
But I do look like stuff like this. It's another step towards the light.
So here in Michigan, there's a package of bills that one of the things it does is puts the Delta 8 THC under the regulatory purview of the Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency, which I don't really understand what that means. I thought that would have been the case already.
Maybe it's not, just because there's some states that are saying no to this stuff. Maybe they think it is like spice. Maybe there's a misunderstanding of what it is. Maybe because it's not psychoactive. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, because that was my understanding of it. They've stripped out anything that is psychoactive in there, and that this was just something that was more akin to a CBD type of product. Something that what they're mostly pushing it as is a mood regulator product.
I mean, isn't regular cannabis a mood regulator product?
Right. Yeah, that's very true. So I don't know. I have seen. There's definitely some states out there that are looking at banning this completely, which I don't understand. I mean, if anything, it seems like just file it under low potency cannabis.
Yeah. You got like non-alcoholic beer. This would be the same type of deal.
So the Michigan Cannabis Manufacturers Association, their executive director, Stephen Linder, said in a statement recently that any product considered medicine should adhere to the same health and safety standards as medicines dispensed in pharmacy. Currently, these products are available to anyone and can be found in gas stations, party stores, and smoke and vape shops.
So it's they want to regulate it.
Yeah,
fair enough. I told you, one thing I am a fan. One area of life I am a fan of regulation is things we put into our bodies. You can regulate that stuff all you want. I would like to know something I'm about to put in me is not going to make me sick or kill me. Call me crazy.
Apparently, Colorado is amongst the states that have completely banned the Delta 8 THC. Delta 8 THC, not Delta H.
Sounds like a Chuck Norris movie. Delta 8 THC.
It does, yeah.
Actually, Delta 8 THC, it would be a buddy movie with him and Tommy Chong.
In Minnesota, they're looking at opening up their rather restrictive medical marijuana program to allow people to actually smoke it.
Oh.
What a novel idea.
Mighty white of them. Oh, am I allowed to say that? God damn it. I'm white. Yeah, there you go.
No, that's not how it works. No, that's still pretty... Like, mighty white of you, that's just... I think that's a pretty blatantly racist statement. I don't use it anymore. Because, I mean, it's basically saying, like... you're acting in a good way, which you're identifying as being white, meaning that non-whites. That's the bad behavior.
I guess. Oh, sure. Don't really. It's probably the first time I've used it in like 10 years. I guess I'll just put it right. I'll put that right back in my pocket.
You can just chuck. You'll never use it again.
So is Minnesota like what is it? Edibles only? Like Florida was?
It is. Let's see. They don't. Yeah, it doesn't say in this. Doesn't say in this story that I'm reading. I'm assuming edibles and tinctures, but they're not. It's not even effective until March 1st of 2022.
No.
So you still got some time before you can get your hands on some flower in Minnesota.
You still got 10 months, so just drive to Illinois and get it.
Yeah.
So Alabama's governor officially signed their medical into law.
Yeah, they were excited that they weren't the last state to have a medical cannabis program.
And that's a big deal. Like that is a very, 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 very red state. That state will never go blue ever.
Yes.
So the fact that they're even, they're 20 years late to the party, but at least they're at the party.
The 37th state to sign legalized medical marijuana. Okay, so everybody, whoever the last 13 are, that's got to fall pretty quickly.
Yeah. Let's see, who are the last 13?
The Marijuana Policy Project had a statement saying the victory in Alabama shows elected officials nationwide are finally getting the message that allowing medical cannabis has overwhelming bipartisan public support. Polls consistently show the vast majority of Americans support allowing seriously ill patients to use cannabis for medical purposes with their doctor's approval or any doctor's approval. It's how most medicinal programs go. As a matter of fact, I mean, I haven't heard of any medical marijuana program that allows you to see your GP and get cannabis.
Not yet. Well, because it's still Schedule 1.
So I would amend that statement maybe to say, allowing seriously ill patients to use cannabis for medical purposes with a doctor's approval, not necessarily their doctor.
See, the states without any medical program, they're not going to shock you. Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and both Carolinas. Now, I
got to figure one of those Carolinas is probably going to drop soon, huh?
I don't know. It seems like.
Or who do you think? You think Texas is more likely to get on board?
Georgia. Georgia has Atlanta.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and Georgia is kind of turning into a bit of a purpley state.
Yes, Georgia's turning purple. And then my bet still would be on Idaho and Wyoming. They're surrounded by legal states.
Yeah, they're going to be backed into it.
Yeah, I mean, Idaho is bordered on the west by Washington and Oregon. It's bordered on the east or on the northeast by Montana, and then it's bordered on the southwest by Nevada. And then Utah's below it. They at least have a medical program. So I mean, I see Idaho and Wyoming simply because those are red states, but they're like the Montana red, like the leave me a fuck alone red states. No,
the Ron Swanson states.
Yeah, the do whatever you want, leave me the hell alone red states.
I watched the episode today where he's at the park having the barbecue and he presents the permit.
Oh, yes.
It just says I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Ron Swanson.
Yeah. I'm the director of the parks, or I'm the director of parks, and this is a park.
Yeah. So he's going to slaughter a pig for his barbecue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're at the beginning of season 5.
I just started. I think I watched 2 episodes of season 5.
Oh yeah, you're in prime Parks and Rec territory right now.
Yes,
I started watching it again. It's my favorite show. Right now. If I had to, it goes Parks and Rec, Scrubs, The Office. Because Scrubs still makes me cry after 20 years. But Parks and Rec, it's the writing, the people. Today I read an article though about how they cast it. They didn't cast it based on character. None of the characters existed when they cast the show.
Right.
They brought together what they thought was a good group of people and then went from there.
Yep. Kind of let them figure out.
Yeah.
Where their character was and everything. Let it happen more organically.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you, the one character, everyone's funny in that, and I think that they don't give enough for what's the character that Retta plays.
Don. Oh, just wait.
She gets more.
Oh yeah.
Because literally, she doesn't get as much lines, but everything that comes out of her mouth is gold. She is just amazing.
No, season 5 is about where she becomes a feature player.
When she starts talking about, I'm going to toss that man in my Benz or something.
Oh yeah. Oh, she makes the most of her lines. Yeah, season 5, I believe, is where she's finally part of the beginning credits.
Oh, good. I'm going to enjoy this. Then,
oh no,
that's she doesn't have a whole lot to do in season 4, but man, it's just gold every time.
Oh yeah, no, season 5, 6, and 7, she definitely they do a lot more with her.
Good.
And did you like the pivot they did on Tom Haverford? He's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah, so they pair him back up with Anne again. Mm-hmm. And this time they expose his sweeter side, where he starts talking about how I'm only acting like an ass because I'm nervous around you. And
the first 2 seasons he's a sleazeball, and
he's a total sleazeball.
They pivoted him into a likable character.
Oh, and another favorite is what's Tom's friend's name?
Oh, John, your boy F. Tony, John Ralphio.
John Ralphio. I mean. That actor, I can't remember.
Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, Ben Schwartz. He's kind of a one-note guy. I mean, I think he's really funny. He's really good, but he doesn't have a lot of. He's not very diverse in his talents. He plays that one character really well.
Mm-hmm.
But that version of him of that character in Parks and Rec is probably my favorite because he's a total idiot. But I honestly love his character.
Oh, just wait.
When when they start the business and just run it totally into the ground, and then at the end of it, they have left over $5,000 apiece. And John Ralphio is excited. He's like, dude, we've both got $5,000. Let's just fucking take this money and dump it all into the best party that we could possibly put together. And I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. I love it. Yes, it's completely stupid, but his spirit, how can you not appreciate that? And also, you know, yeah, he's a complete, he makes an ass out of himself everywhere he goes. Everyone's rolling his eyes at him. But he's also 100% himself at all times. He's not putting on a mask for anyone.
It's true.
I'm envious of his character, honestly.
Yeah. He's never bummed out. He's got a good attitude towards life.
Yeah.
And soon you're going to meet his sister.
Oh yeah, awesome.
No, I'm jealous of you. You still have 3 more seasons of Parks and Rec in front of you that you've never seen before.
I've never seen it. I've seen, you know, it's funny because there was one episode that I think I remember watching in completion, and I think that was an episode from somewhere like in the middle of season 3, and there's a couple episodes there in the middle where they kind of slip back into format sitcom, like, you know, so-and-so's upset about some kind of misunderstanding and comedy ensues. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like the same kind of... This show's a little more looser in plot and more character-driven, generally. So there were just a couple duds in there. And one of those was that episode that was like, oh, I remember. This was the one that I watched. And I think consequently it was just bad luck. Like, I watched it and went, oh, it's just more of a format sitcom. You know, I just happened to catch a bummer episode. If I had watched any other episode, I think, from that season, I probably would have went, oh, this is awesome.
Well, one thing I've learned from rewatch podcasts is it depends on who wrote it and who directed it.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I've learned like a lot of the, like I've learned listening to The Office Ladies, a lot of the episodes that are considered like classics, it's because of who wrote it and a lot of them are, Paul Feig directed them. A lot of the Office episodes that are considered, like I was catching up and I just listened to the one where they did Dinner Party. And that's a Paul Feig.
Oh, yeah. Wait, was that the one where Michael has it at his new condo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right, because he's dating, what's her name?
Yeah, it's him and Jan and Jim and Pam and Andy and Angela. And then Dwight shows up with his babysitter. Like they were talking when they did it. They in their opinion, they think it's the best episode of The Office.
It might be, yeah.
I can't even. Michael burning his foot to me is pretty fucking funny.
It was the George Foreman grill that
he's so ridiculous. Just Steve Carell's so ridiculous that episode with all types of comedy, physical comedy.
Yeah,
like it's a standout in my mind. Well, we're done talking about weed, so we should probably wrap it up, huh?
We should, but the best. I just have to say the best part about that episode is that he's still burning his foot doesn't dissuade him that was a bad idea. That's key. That's key to Michael Scott's character right there. To understand Michael Scott, like it was just a freak accident.
Yeah, like
right?
Like when he explained it at the end, like when he's like his attitude is like, what big fucking deal. I like the smell of bacon.
But yeah, we should wrap it up.
All right, follow us on social media. Facebook, please like us. Follow us on Twitter at the Weisman420, the Weisman Podcast on Instagram is where you can find us there. Go to ChristopherMedia.net, click the Amazon banner, click the PayPal button if you want to help us out. And wherever you listen to us, if you could please rate us and review us. That is a big help. Helps people find us. You know, it's how we do things nowadays. You're looking for something new, you check the review. So rate us and review us. We would appreciate it. And stay high.
Stay high.
The U.S. Navy SEALs have become the tip of the spear on the war on terror, but they work in almost total secrecy.
These guys are killing them close enough to smell their bad breath before they do it.
Did a Navy SEAL cross the line? And how blurred has the line become between right and wrong in war?
How many Navy SEALs do you think are crying over dead terrorists, including Eddie?
I'm Dan Taberski, and this is The Line, an Apple original podcast produced by Jigsaw Productions. Listen and follow on Apple Podcasts.
Menthol is not just a flavor. It's a manipulative way for big tobacco to target, attract, and addict Black Americans. Tobacco companies aggressively market menthol products using elements of Black culture, putting more products on shelves in Black communities, and making them cheaper. And it's not just an injustice. It's killing us. Smoking-related illnesses are the #1 cause of death in the African American community. Help us fight this injustice at notjustmenthol.org.
The COVID-19 vaccines were developed and tested within stringent guidelines from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. That this happened faster than usual is due to the urgency of this pandemic and the extraordinary collaboration of dedicated scientists around the world.
Hear more from New Jersey doctors about COVID-19 at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/VAXFACTS.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.